statement about black
What is a
people.
black job?
You'll have to ask Donald Trump.
I have to ask, well, Donald Trump's not on the witness stand, so
Well,
I'm asking you.
and I'm here to talk about hate crime, which I hope you want to talk about as
could
If
well.
the gentleman will
Hillary
yield, I can
Clinton-
clarify that.
No, I'd like to hear from the witness, but I appreciate it. Could Hillary Clinton have filled that black job?
Most people watched this hearing and saw a political clash. But if you watch closely, it is something much deeper. A congressman, a civil rights activist, a black conservative scholar, all in the same room, but operating from completely different definitions of truth, extremism, and institutional trust. Because this hearing was never just about hate crimes. It was about one uncomfortable question Washington keeps avoiding. Who gets to decide who the extremists are? Subscribe and watch till the end. This conversation goes deeper than politics.
Ms. Wiley, I have a couple questions for you. Do you still believe in defunding the police?
I believe in public safety, and that means driving dollars to where we're most likely to prevent crimes from happening and ensure that we have responsive law enforcement that doesn't violate people's rights and it prevents crime.
Does that mean driving dollars away from law enforcement?
It means making sure we're driving dollars to the things that support public safety, and that's a
possibly away from
variety of things.
So possibly away from law enforcement.
Well, I think we have law enforcement. We have talked about the need for law enforcement, particularly when we're fighting hate and bias crimes, which
I
have
agree, we
more
certainly
than doubled in
do
this
need law
country since
enforcement.
2015.
Law enforcement's
So I think
very important. During your mayoral race a few years ago, you said, quote, "I'm going to take $1 billion from New York City Police Department." Do you still think that's a good idea?
Well, I'm here to talk about hate crimes, not my run
just asking
for
if that's-
city.
if- I'm
I
asking from a
stand by my
public's-
run for mayor, and I appreciate
stand
the
by that statement.
opportunity
You
to
also
try to
stated-
drive dollars
You also
to
stated
public
you
safety.
have to cut the police budget and change what we mean by policing. Do you still stand by that statement as well?
I stand by the need to invest in community safety, to ensure that
by
we have a
defunding the
vibrant
police.
civil rights community that is able to participate in
I just want to
keeping
be
our
clear.
community
You believe
safe
in
from hate
investing
and
in
bias.
community safety by defunding the police?
I am here to say that I'm really grateful we have the Southern Poverty Law Center because it is doing work, including with law
and you
enforcement,
think defunding
to
the police
prevent
makes our community
hate
safer?
and bias
Okay,
crimes.
I've got another question for you. What is a black job?
You'd have to ask Donald Trump.
I'm not sure what that means. I'm referring to a statement that you made a year ago on your LinkedIn. "I was so honored and proud to be a New York State delegate for our next president, with Vice President Kamala Harris ascending to her black job."
Donald Trump made a comment that was very stereotypical about black people, and it was a joke about his stereotypical statement about black
What is a
people.
black job?
You'll have to ask Donald Trump.
I have to ask, well, Donald Trump's not on the witness stand, so
Well,
I'm asking you.
and I'm here to talk about hate crime, which I hope you want to talk about as
could
If
well.
the gentleman will
Hillary
yield, I can
Clinton-
clarify that.
No, I'd like to hear from the witness, but I appreciate it. Could Hillary Clinton have filled that black job? What you call
You'd
a black
have to
job?
ask Donald Trump.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Dr. Swain, got a couple questions for you. And thank you again for being here. In your book, The New White Nationalism, which is excellent, you wrote that in 2002 there were approximately 2,000 KKK members in the entire nation. Sounds like you believe a large portion of them were paid informants. Do you think that the SPLC was involved back in 2002?
Well, there was a scholar named Larry.
If you can turn the mic on, please.
There was a scholar named Larry Wilcox that I referenced, and he did research, and he was very critical of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and he said at one point that there were more paid informants than actually KKK members. And I would concede that the Southern Poverty Law Center was very successful as far as bankrupting the neo-Nazis and the KKK. So I would concede that, but I will also argue that as early as 2009, when I wrote the article that triggered the Southern Poverty Law Center, at that time the new Black Panther Party was patrolling the polls, I think in Philadelphia, and they were intimidating white people, and they had sticks in their hands, and the Southern Poverty Law Center had not labeled them as a hate group. And so in the blog, where I ended with, instead of monitoring hate groups, the Southern Poverty Law Center has become one. Instead of labeling or listing the new Black Panther Party, what they did, they went after Lou Dobbs, and they went after the Center for Immigration Studies and anyone who questioned liberal immigration policies.
And we've got about 15, 20 seconds left. Can you just, to sort of close us out, what are the dangers of paying for these informants and extremist groups like the KKK?
You get biased information if you're paying people for information. And one of the dangers for our society is that the Southern Poverty Law Center has pretty much become an arm of the Democratic Party. They are very partisan. They should not have that 501c3 status if they're going to take a side in, if they're going to be biased in how they monitor groups and how they destroy individuals like me.
Thank you, Dr. Swain.
This hearing was never really about hate crime numbers. It was about a much bigger question: who gets to decide who the bad guys are? Think about it like this. Imagine a referee in a football game who openly cheers for one team. Even if his calls are correct, nobody on the other side will trust him. The game falls apart, not because of bad plays, but because of a broken referee. That's exactly what's happening here. Organizations like the SPLC position themselves as neutral scorekeepers of extremism. But when people notice those scorecards consistently flag one side of the political aisle while ignoring the other, the scorecard stops meaning anything. And a warning label nobody trusts is more dangerous than no label at all. Because now people stop listening entirely. Carol Swain's testimony cut to the bone. Ordinary Americans are being called extremists for holding views they've held their whole lives. When that happens enough times, people don't change their views. They just stop trusting the people doing the calling. Here's the deep thought underneath all of it. Every society needs shared rules about what's acceptable. But the moment those rules are only enforced selectively, they stop being rules. They become power. This isn't really left versus right anymore. It's about whether Americans can agree on a referee at all. And right now, they can't. If this made you think, share it with one person who needs to see it. Not to argue. Just to think. Then drop your answer below. Who do you actually trust to define extremism in America today? And what would they have to look like to earn that trust? Like, comment, and subscribe. Because these are the conversations mainstream media won't slow down enough to have. We break it down so you can think it through. No spin, no fluff, just the agenda.